Because if I'm going to be using a crap DS / emulator anyway, I might as well enjoy it somehow. Somehow Game Boy games are less demanding in my mind, which makes no sense because all Game Boy Advance games to me are automatically more fun or something. I don't know. There's just been a lot of great Game Boy Advance games in the history of my particular experience. There have been a few great RPGs, especially in the strategy domain, like Fire Emblem and Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, which I still have to get more into the sequel for DS, but that looks pretty good. Riviera the Promised Land, which I also kind of have to get more into. There's these games, of course. All the 3rd gen Pokemon. There's the Mega Man Zero series, which I just recommend to people who are like me and like side-scrolling platformers and... Well, not platformers. No, not platformers. I don't like platformers. I do not like platformers. I hate platformers. Do not show me a platformer because I will get annoyed. I meant side-scrolling action games. Anyway, Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, which I already LP'd. But in that particular case, I do think I actually prefer the Dawn of Sorrow for DS. For some reason, when I think of a D word of sorrow, I think Duet of Sorrow, which is just my name for those two games together because they are the only two games in the Castlevania series which are just like directly connected. I mean, there's a continuity to all of it, and they're all kind of connected, but I don't think there's any other like main character that you play in more than one Castlevania game. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think any actual Castlevania fans are watching, but if there are, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a huge Castlevania fan. I just think that those games are pretty fun. I don't like the ones where you are completely restricted to using only a whip. They just feel kind of annoying to me. I'd like to be able to choose your destruction or something. And yeah, I like that. What other games? I'm definitely missing something enormous, and I'm tempted to just open my list of Game Boy Advance games right now. Don't tell me Donkey Kong Country, because that game is for like every system ever. Ever! I don't know what it is, but I've had that game on so many different cartridges and occasions that it gives to me. You're light years from facing Brock. Light years aren't distance, man. Or light years are distance, not time. I must be looking at him through a super telescope of some sort, apparently. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh yeah, something about more Game Boy Advance games that I like. I sounded like there were a lot before, but I mean, I've already gone through a list considering that there are what? Must be 5 Pokemon games. The other 3 RPGs that I liked, which if you count the different Fire Emblem ones, that's 4. That's 9 games already. Castlevania, 10. 4 Mega Man Zero games. Now, I don't really consider all these different games to be separate great assets to the Game Boy Advance. Obviously, you do not want to sit there and play all 5 Pokemon games. But you do kind of want to play all 4, which I was going for Violet, but this is okay too. You definitely do want to play all 4 Mega Man Zero games if you are a person who enjoys any of them, and even though they all have different systems, some little tweaks, they're all equally enjoyable, although I find that the second one has always been incredibly difficult for me. They've all been pretty hard, except when you have ones that let you do easy mode from the get-go, like the 4th one, which is just, the easy mode is an embarrassment in that game. If you fall into a bottomless pit, then you end up, then you don't even die if you fall into a bottomless pit. You just like float at the bottom of the screen, and then when you get to a floor or something, you just jump out. It's kind of weird like that, but I don't know. Weird stuff, man. Anyway, so that's 14 games, which, I mean, you don't have to, if you really don't want to play that much Pokemon, then you can count it as only 10, but that's still a good number of games. All of which I can think of off the top of my head, which I can't think of a lot of games off the top of my head. I'm not very good at thinking of games, okay? Because I don't play a huge variety of games. I think my variety is pretty good. I actually liked the Shaman King game that was kind of a action side-scroller. I know. Yeah, why do you have to make it no by default? You're stupid. What if I want to press A rapidly and say yes? Oh, yeah. You did not see this. Because the save thing doesn't work, so I'm using states. But since we're looking at this, let's see what games I have. Golden Sun! Duh! Another great, game. You can't really see it, but because it's below there, but Mario and Luigi, Zelda Oracle is actually Game Boy Color, Metroid Fusion, Summon Night Swordcraft Story. That's kind of a personal taste. It's not overall it's not the best game. And other than that, I just have a random Castlevania game. I don't like this particular Castlevania game that much, Harmony of Dissonance. But yeah, I guess I have now mentioned every Game Boy Advance game that I have a ROM for. Which, that's a pretty good list. I mean, I have a bunch of DS game ROMs, but most of those I played for a while and then just went, okay, this isn't that fun. Oh no, Brock! I don't look like the anime Brock anyway, but who might have complained? I don't know, but the hero doesn't look like the anime Ash because, well, that's because, you know, he's not supposed to in the first place. And Gary doesn't look like anime Gary either, so it's kind of just like, anyway, using special attacks to clobber these physical defense mechanisms are basically the best way to go about it. Plus, they're not that tough as long as you have an attack that's at least somewhat effective against it. Because early on in the game, you literally are just stuck with normal type moves, basically. Which, you know, they're not very effective, so. Like, right now, what is my rat attack called? This particular one. There's so many rat attacks, I can't get them straight! Blaine. Blaine only has normal type moves, so he would obviously be completely useless here. Stumpy is actually super effective. So that's actually a major thing, but you know, in yellow, you have you know, you have Pikachu, so it's like, oh, nothing is really effective on him. Also, no, I am not going to say that Brock took me for granted. That pun would just be so, or whatever that joke is considered, that thing would just be so overused by the time it got to me that I would not gain anything from mentioning it one more time. I think you guys are rubbing off on me. And when I say you guys, I mean Topman Hit and Cthulhuigi. But really because I don't want to say took you for granted, because I think it's kind of stupid. But, I have taken to saying not weekly, which I think is just a reference to Farfetch'd, and it seems to only be used when Farfetch'd is around. But I actually use it in more general conversation. You know, within the loop of people who actually do that. Wow. I've actually accomplished quite a bit tonight because I just keep wanting to talk. I don't know what it is. I am proud of myself. I just feel like going on and 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 on. But I can't. Because otherwise I will never have these uploaded, and all of my talking will just never get to anybody, and you won't be able to listen to my rant at all. So yeah, be prepared for a bunch of parts to come out. And wait, if I say that now, then it won't help, because this is the end of it, and by now, if you're hearing this, then you've already watched all the parts that I'm telling you to prepare for, which, obviously, if you got this far, then you must have been prepared for